I try to make 5 to 10 beats a day, and those are typically
Wait,
not
wait,
with.
wait, 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 wait.
You know, pause. Hold up.
5 to 10 beats a day.
Yes.
Let's be honest, you're not gonna find these videos anywhere else. Why? Because I make them. So it would really help me out if you subscribe. If you've already subscribed, what also really helps is if you like the video and leave a comment. It's hard in the era of clickbait videos on YouTube and negativity in the producer community, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
Now, when it started kicking in, I would say in the past couple of years, just due to my consistency, I did have some lack of consistency in certain areas, knowledge that I just didn't have that I do now. So I would say in the past couple of years, I've seen a lot more consistency than I did when I first started.
Yeah, consistency is a word you're gonna hear a lot on this show. I mean, GC Beats said the same thing, and he said that actually he feels as though it's a cliche answer, but cliches are just answers that are often repeated, and you hear producers often repeat that consistency is what transformed their hobby into a business. What specifically changed in your routine or in your habits or in your mind state that contributed to that level of consistency?
I would say I made a video about this. However, really treating artists like people. I know that probably sounds cliche, but I have realized that when I stress so much about money, I start to do a lot of things out of desperation, and start to kind of forget that these are actual people that have invested into my brand, and I should act like not act like I care, but actually care. So once I started to realize like these are people and building up value, and companies, entrepreneurs always talk about value, and I always thought like, okay, value, but it's really true. Like giving value to your audience can definitely go a long way. And I also realized that it was a process. I think a lot of times when I tried to rush certain things, I may have gotten a result, but it wasn't either a long-term result or the result I was really looking to get. So I would say treating my customers like humans, and also finding out who my customer base is, and just studying. I've noticed that's one thing. A lot of people just want the answer like this, and they don't really take the time to study information. There's a lot of resources, just like BeatStars has a bunch of resources that you can find for free with people talking about what they've done step by step. So there's really, in my opinion, no excuse when it comes to not knowing. It's just taking the time to actually learn about your business and get into those goals.
Okay, this is maybe a tough question, but I'm going to put you on the spot. What was one action you took or one marketing move you made out of desperation back before you started switching your mind state?
Oh, I mean, I sold beats like I sold exclusives at like $50. Like I just to make some money, and I still look back on that. I'm like, dang, why did I do that? But I would do certain things out of like, I know people will buy this, so I'm gonna just do it. I'm gonna sell $50 exclusives, which there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you do. But for me, I knew that long term, that's not something I could have continued doing. So I definitely did that out of desperation. In regards to my business.
We got our first troll comment from Bufo. I don't. Can you sell exclusive beats on OnlyFans? I don't know.
Hey, we might have to try it. Might be a market, Bufo. You might have to do that niche market right there.
Yeah, Bufo brings up the sex industry a lot. I think he should just go for it. After a certain point, there's a market for everything.
Yes, that is true.
I know some people making money on OnlyFans. Actually, OnlyFans is trying to expand quite a bit into music, to the point where they reached out to me, and I'm like, I guess I wouldn't know how to approach it, because what would I don't know whatever. I do all my streams for free anyway. Changing the subject. You recently tweeted something that made me stop and think, and I knew I had to ask you about it. You tweeted that you stopped making business decisions based on emotions.
Yes.
What was that about?
Oh man. So a lot of times I've noticed that, at least for me in my experience, we we make you can make business decisions off of what you feel. Like, I feel I should charge $100, but my customers are telling me I can only do this. Like, I want to support you. I'll share your, repost your tweets, or, comment on Instagram, but I'm not going to be able to support your business because for where the customers that I have right now currently, where I'm at, they are telling me, hey, I can do this range. And so my mindset before then was like, well, I got such and such on this song, so that means I need to change my price. Or somebody told me I should change my price because I'm worth more than that. When the data, the analytics, all the stuff is saying, no, this is not what's working for you, buddy. And I think when you go off so much on feeling, you start to make decisions that sometimes don't make sense for that time. So it's not to say that I can never charge a certain price, or have a certain price point, or get customers that are paying that price point. It's just right now, that's not where my business is at. That's not where I'm at in regards to my branding or whatever. So when I said that, taking the emotion out of it, it's more so just not just making decisions because I feel like that's the right thing to do, and actually looking at what does the data tell me is the right thing to do, and what are my customers telling me to do, because those are the ones who are paying for stuff. So
Yeah, what would you say is some of the most helpful customer feedback that you've received throughout the years?
the biggest thing, and this isn't a knock to myself, the biggest thing is people really like my personality, and I believe that's why my business has done so well, is due to the fact of just me as a person. Because obviously, my beats aren't terrible. However, I do know that I kind of sell the product, So I definitely have gotten feedback that I just care about people, which I think is important anyway. But I try to provide as much value as I can to artists. I do things like live reviews and different resources that I've given artists over the time that I've had my business. So that's the biggest feedback, is just that I provide value and people feel like they can connect with me. Um, and that's been working for me. So I continue to do it.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk more about that. Let's segue into your content strategy, because I think that is a part of what you just said. Because a lot of your content is for artists too, not recording artists, not just producers. You don't just post beats; you post a lot of content that is instructive. It's funny. It's entertaining. But you post a hell of a lot of it. When and why? When and why did you? Because that's a big problem for a lot of us. When and why did you start posting content so regularly?
So I personally, I have management, and we essentially had a conversation that I needed to make more content. And I wasn't making enough. I kind of have periods of time where, like, I would make a bunch of content, then kind of get out of it. And I really like Grant Cardone, and I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a big guy that does real estate and other things, and he always talks about attention and getting attention. And I just studied how much he posted, and I studied other entrepreneurs that I liked and saw how much they posted, and I saw um, a certain frequency that was pretty consistent across the board. And I said, well, these guys have teams of people that are paid to do this. They know what they're doing. So I said, I know what I'm doing to an extent, but I could know more. So I just decided to implement that into my own strategy and post a bunch of content. And it's definitely been working in regards to getting people's eyes on what I'm doing.
Okay, so then on that note, how do you structure your day so you're able to both make music every day and also create and post non-musical content?
So I get up at 5 in the morning, on a fairly consistent basis. So typically, I like to get things that I need to get out the way, whether it's scheduling emails or scheduling content for like Facebook. And then when it comes to recording content, I just have a certain period of the day, probably like after 12 noon, to just go outside and start recording. I just turn on the camera and whatever I gotta say is what I gotta say. My brain goes so fast sometimes that like I just start talking about something. I don't really have like I write this topic down or whatever. I just typically talk about things that either I see in my emails or questions that people ask on my social media, and I just have them stored, and make videos about it.
A lot of creatives struggle with releasing content because they don't know how to create it. They don't necessarily know what to create. As a matter of fact, we have questions coming in. So what do you use to schedule your posts? Is there a specific app or program that you use?
So I pretty much use myself, and that's only because again I don't have a 9 to 5, so I do have a little more time to post. I can't make that excuse like, oh, I don't have time. However, I have used apps in the past. I know Facebook has where you can schedule posts on Instagram, and you can use it on Facebook, Facebook and Instagram. So I have utilized that before. I also used AppFee, but I don't know if you can use them anymore. I think something changed in regard to the permissions, but it was APPHI. I used to use that. There's Hootsuite. I've used that as well. Later.com is great to schedule stuff. And I see someone's asking me about email automation. I use GetResponse. That's just because that's the only platform I've used. Honestly, I know there's other ones like MailChimp and different ones like that, but I just use GetResponse for my emails. And I just post. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take over. I just see these questions. Someone said, when do I post? And that is based on what my analytics say. So when you go into Instagram, it'll tell you what the best times are. And it's just really based on my following. So I post at 12, 3, 6, and 9 p.m. Sometimes I post outside of that time period, but I try to stick to those times.
Well, okay, so just to be clear about the analytics, you need to post a lot in order for the analytics to tell you which posts are working and which posts aren't, right?
Yes, definitely.
So that's kind of the starting point, because a lot of people want answers, and people will contact me and say, when's the best time to post to social media? And it varies based on who your audience is, what time zone you're in, what kind of content you're posting, that kind of thing. So would your advice be to just experiment and then check your analytics and see what's working for you?
Yes, I would definitely say to experiment. I mean, for me, I've been posting 4 times a day on Instagram, 7 times on my Facebook fan page, 5 to 9 times on Twitter. So you'll definitely, once you start experimenting with certain things, you'll see what frequency works best. Maybe you don't post 4 times a day. Maybe that's too much for your audience. You post 2 times a day or once a day. You're gonna find what's gonna work. And I would also say, look at, once you get those analytics, who your audience is, whether that's the age range. So if you have a bunch of 25 to 34-year-olds, you're not going to necessarily talk about things that wouldn't pertain to that age group. Or looking at gender, if you have a lot of men, you might not talk about certain topics that men may not relate to versus women. Kind of looking at those things will help you in regards to what to post and when to post as well, and how much.
So a related conversation to that is just the lack of confidence and knowledge when it comes to content creation. So do you handle the graphic design? Do you handle the video editing all yourself for your own content, or do you outsource some of it?
I edit my content myself. I use InShot, INSHOT, and that is in the App Store. I use that to edit and all of my content. I use captions as well to caption my Reels videos, and captions is also in the App Store. And I also have Video Leap, but I haven't been using that as much. I really have been just focusing on InShot because it has everything that I really need. And I just say to keep it simple when it comes to the editing. In the past, I've had a tendency to kind of overdo it, but I realize people like me more than they really care about all the fancy graphics and stuff like that. So just being genuine and giving value in your content is more important, in my opinion, than trying to make it look great and you're not really giving anybody anything of value.
Here's another question. Do you use either I didn't even know there was a creator or business account on Instagram. You're pretty active on Instagram.
That's a great question. I'm actually going to check that because, to be honest with you, I always forget which one I am using. I believe it's the creator account. But to be honest, either way, it really doesn't matter in my opinion. I mean, I've used both, and that's probably why I don't even know which one I'm using. Okay. I guess I'm using a business account. It looks like I'm using business. So, but I believe I've used creator before too. I think there's like some slight differences between the creator and business account, but it's really not anything to worry about. So you'd be fine either way.
Okay, cool. I appreciate everyone asking the questions. For your beat sales, now that they're growing, what would you say is the most important source of beat sales and traffic to your BeatStars page?
Ooh, I've actually just really started digging deep. So I learned that Facebook is a big driver of traffic. I thought it was my emails. I was incorrect. I have Google Analytics set up to my website, and I have set out to do things intentionally. And I think that would help a lot of producers is not getting overwhelmed and finding what actionable steps can you take in your day-to-day that are actually working. So you might think, oh, I'm posting all this content on Instagram, but your traffic's not really coming from Instagram to your website. It's actually coming from Twitter, or it's coming from your YouTube. So that helps you focus when it comes to that. In regards to, I hope I didn't even miss this question. In regards to the beat sales, I typically sell a lot of leases. I have a customer who frequently buys exclusives from me. And we've worked out a deal. So having those repeat customers that are willing to spend money with you on a frequent basis can definitely be golden when it comes to business. But yeah, I've been using Google Analytics to tell me what to really focus on, so that I'm not spreading myself too thin and also not stressing myself out on, trying to post certain content to certain platforms that are not even really driving traffic to my website.
And you're saying it's Facebook posts that are driving traffic?
Yeah, my fan page is actually, I was doing Facebook ads, and we can talk about that too. I was doing Facebook advertising. However, right now, primarily, I'm just posting a lot on my Facebook fan page, and apparently that's useful. So it's so random to me because I thought it would be, my email list or my Instagram, but it's not.
Well, what kind of content are you posting on your Facebook fan page that is converting viewers of your content into customers who buy your beats?
So I gotta tell y'all a gem. I hate using that word because I feel like everyone, oh yeah, I'm dropping a gem, but I'm gonna use it for this interview. So I got this software platform, and it's called Niches. I'm gonna tell y'all how to NICHESSS. That's 3 S's, and it is a lifesaver. Like, yo, Payne, you gotta write this one down. It's a lifesaver because it helps you create content. Essentially, it's a cheat code. I'm not gonna lie to you. It helps you create content. So if you're not great at writing copy, and what I mean by copy is just what you say to people, whether it's ad copy or a tweet or whatever. And I started utilizing that or for my fan page when I want to say like, hey, I got a beat sale and I don't know necessarily what to say to get people to convert sometimes. So I've been using that, and that's helped me be consistent as well because I just post it and then it seems to work pretty well. And then other times I just say regular stuff like, hope everyone's having a great day. I don't try to overthink it in regards to what I post on there. I post the content that I put on Instagram on there as well, or from my TikTok. I just really post anything honestly, and it's working for me.
Yeah, that's everyone here is trying to get niches now. It's just I don't know if I can post a link in the chat, but it's it's NICHESSS.com. I'm gonna try to post it in the chat. If it gets blocked, I'm sorry, but we both said it, so.
Yes.
I'm gonna figure out. This is not an endorsement. I've never used it before.
It's not, but it's fire. I gotta tell people. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about. I think some of the conversations you were having online and some of the experiences and wisdom you were sharing had to do with perhaps. Tell me if I'm wrong. I might just be making assumptions here, but your resume has grown.
Right.
Maybe there are people who are starting to comment that your beat prices should go up because now your resume is getting higher and higher. I don't know if that happened. I know it happened to me, and it's just like, what's the point of raising prices because I got a placement or a plaque or whatever? Because that doesn't mean anything to my customers. Right. Budgets, like their budgets don't go up just because I get a placement.
Because I got a placement, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, let's start with this. Name some of the artists that you've produced for recently that we may be familiar with.
So I have Young Bleu is featured on a song. Fred the Godson, may he rest in peace. Tiffany Evans on a song. DJ Luke Nasty. I have a song that's coming out with YB and Almighty J. Wi-Fi's Funeral, with an independent artist I've been working on that's dropping next month. So I definitely have some heavy hitters. It's just like back to your point though, my customers' budget did not change because of my placements. And I think the other thing too that I would just warn other producers about is just because you get big artists that may get featured on a song, it also has to be marketed correctly. What happened to me is the songs that I did have with bigger artists, they weren't marketed properly, so it was kind of like it didn't really matter. So nothing really changed for me except to just say that I have these people on these songs. So that's one thing that I've noticed is the difference between producers who may change their pricing or their clout goes up because that song was marketed to a point where it went viral, or and I haven't had that moment yet. I know it's coming. I haven't had that moment yet. So a lot of the features that I've had, the songs are just kind of they're there. It's cool to say I have such and such on it, but nothing really happened because of the lack of marketing that happened for the songs.
Yeah, that's always frustrating. Tell me about the track with Young Bleu then, because Young Bleu had a great year with his hit single with Drake. How did that come together?
So I had an independent artist. His name's Yachty. He reached out to me. I posted a beat, and he liked it. He said, "Oh, I want to get it exclusively," and I was like, "Cool." So I sent him the BeatStars link, so he bought it through BeatStars, which was dope because you can add beats to cart and stuff like that. So I did that, and I didn't hear anything from him for a while. I just didn't even think anything of it. And I co-produced that with another producer named Pathu. He did the piano part, and I did the drums and the arrangement of it and any other effects to it. And Yachi ended up reaching out to me later on. It was like, "Hey, I got Young Bleu on it." And I was like, "Oh man, what? This is wild." Because at that time, Young Bleu had just came out with that song, "You're Still Mine." So I was just like, "Yo, this is crazy." I remember hitting up the producer that I work with, Pathu, to say, "Yo, we're going to have Young Bleu on this song." And he was like, "What? No way." And that honestly meant more to me than getting it myself. I'm very big into wanting to collaborate with people and sharing like good news like that, because I know it won't just change my, maybe career or whatever. It also changes someone else's. So that was really cool. And the song came out this year. It took forever. I thought that song was never going to drop, but it ended up dropping, and it's out. It's out on platforms, and I'm happy to hear Young Blue's verse on it. I play it on repeat from time to time. But yeah, that's how it all went down.
Yeah, well, congratulations. here's something I noticed, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
I've noticed that the musicality and the quality of your beats has really improved over the last few years. Because we've been following each other for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so you agree? You would? I think it's just inevitable. Everyone's beats should be improving over time.
Yeah.
Okay, so your beats have improved over the last few years, you're saying?
Yes, that is not offensive. I definitely agree. Like, my beats started out as trash. Not sure how people bought them, even when I first started.
I didn't say that, for the record. I didn't say that.
You didn't say it, but it is what it is. We all got to start somewhere. But I definitely know that my quality continues to improve. So I appreciate the fact that you recognize that.
Yeah, I was listening to you posted a preview of something. I was like, damn, that shit is hard. So how did you focus on making more beats and better beats? How did you really improve on a creative side? I think the marketing side is way more straightforward because, you can kind of take certain steps, whereas the creative side is an X factor. I can't necessarily just give someone a tip and say, play this chord and all of a sudden their beats are amazing. So what kind of focus did that take and what strategies did you use?
So I've watched a lot of tutorials, like a lot of producers out there, and I've just studied certain things that I wanted to improve on. So melodies was a big thing I've always wanted to get better at because I felt like drums came a little more natural to me. And then also mixing and mastering my beats, like mixing my beats, I wanted to be way better at that because I realized a lot of the producers that I still enjoy listening to from time to time, their beats sound so clean. And I was like, oh, my beats don't sound clean. I would definitely want to up the quality in that regard. So that was helpful. And also just making a lot of beats. I mean, even now I try to make 5 to 10 beats a day. And those are typically
wait.
Pause. Hold up.
5 to 10 beats a day.
Yes. And again, everything is different. I mean, I'm doing this all day, so I have a lot more time to.
But a lot of us are doing it all day. 5 to 10 a day. Even listen. When what was it? Tundra was on. Yeah, he was talking about releasing, I think, 54 beats a month or something. That's still under a 2 beat a day average. So even if he was making 4 beats a day, he's not making 5 to 10 beats a day. Yeah, so I'm sorry for interrupting. I want to hear about this. How does this work? What do you eat for breakfast? What?
Yo, so I would say it is a little excessive for me, but I made a video about this that I am on the spectrum. So a lot of people that are on the spectrum have a special interest, and music is my special interest. So I naturally just kind of have that excessive quality when it comes to making music, which is probably why I can dedicate so much time in my mind to do so. So I would say that's probably why for me, I don't, that's the only reason I could see. But also too, since I have gotten, more opportunities, I do have things that come up where they're like, hey, we need a pack for such and such. So I don't really have a lot of time to be wasting. So I make those beats. Typically I collaborate with other producers that I work with on those. So that kind of helps with the speed. But, in regards to just making beats from scratch, it's more so just not overthinking it and a lot of practice. It's just my own, I guess, goals, my personal goals of wanting to like create quality and quantity. Because I see people always tweet like, oh, quality over quantity. And I just don't understand for me why you can't have both. Like, I believe you can have quality and quantity. It just depends on what that means for you. So if you do 2 beats a day and those are quality and that's the quantity that you feel like you can handle, then that's what works for you. I just have found what works for me, and that's just what I do.
Yeah, 2 good cool. Quality beats is great. I mean, I think anything's cool as long as it's working for you. But
yes,
I think there's something to be said. I know a guy who's, I believe, is on the spectrum too, and he's a songwriter. there's no reason he should be as good as he is at songwriting and harmony based on how short of a time he's been singing and writing music for. Yeah. I remember hearing the music. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, the writing is great. And then the melodies and the harmonies are great. I'm like, how long have you been doing this? And he just kind of looked at me and was like, oh, a year and a half. I was like, nah, wait, dude. So spectrum disorder for the win, I guess.
Yeah, winning out here.
let's continue.
You're still getting over that. You're like,
well, it's this interview and then the interview with Tundra that has a lot of people with their heads spinning, just wondering how they're going to compete. But I think not everyone has to be Mini, not everyone has to be Tundra. There's only one Tundra and there's only one Mini. Okay, don't start wearing bow ties and thinking you're going to make 5 to 10 beats a day.
And don't get short like me and think you're going to make it, because I was just born like this, so
Hey, I'm on Team Short Producer as well.
Team Short gang.
Okay, here's a question from Bufo. He's asking about your email campaign. So you are using email campaigns.
Yes, I use GetResponse.
Yeah, what's some wisdom that you've learned over time as far as whether it's writing copy or the frequency of your email blasts? What has worked for you?
Okay, so I'm still always learning new things and getting better. So one thing I would say is to segment your people. So whether you send out, like if you collect emails through free beats, through BeatStars, I would say segment those people. So have like a free beat list, and then if you have customers, have a customer list, and that will help you kind of find out what messaging to tell people. I've even had to learn this because sometimes you're sending out, sales to the people that just got free beats and they're not interested, right? So maybe it's just like, you know what, I'm just going to send it to my customers. The free beats people convert into a customer or whatever it looks like. So I would say segment people into different groups. And you should be able to do that in any platform. It doesn't have to be the one I'm using, of course. And so I would say, segment your people. And also, as for frequency, I can't really tell anyone how many times. Like, I know people say, oh, email them once a week or twice a week or whatever. It really, your email subscribers will tell you if you're doing too much, and because you can look, at least for GetResponse, it'll tell you why people unsubscribe. So someone just might be like, oh, I got too many emails in general. So if you start to see like, man, everybody's saying I'm emailing too much, you might have to fix your strategy in regards to how many times you're emailing or what you're emailing people. So it might not be email people less. It might be emails a certain segment of people instead of sending a email blast to everybody. And as far as, like I always talk about analytics, looking at your click-through rates is very important. And looking at your open rates. So seeing what subject lines work best, what call to actions work best. And a lot of this just comes through time and studying about email marketing and just experimenting on what works.
So this is a question that I'm sure a lot of people have. What magical DAW are you using to make 5 to 10 beats a day?
The magical DAW is good old FL Studio. I've been using that since college. I use FL Studio Producer. No, Signer Edition. I upgraded recently. Signer Edition. And yeah, I mean that's what I use. Nothing too special. I started out with Mixcraft when I first started making beats, and I've been using FL Studio since like 2014. I'm pretty sure I have either Producer Edition or Signer Edition. I can't remember. Do I use templates? No, I don't use any templates. Probably could use a template, but I don't. I just I just know what I typically like to use in regards to my VSTs and stuff like that. Do I mix beats? Yes, I mix, arrange. I do it all in one setting. Again, that's just what works for me. I know people that say like they do it the next day or do stuff on certain days, but I just like to tackle it all at once.
Yeah, I think that's key to finishing. Just putting a figurative gun to your own figurative head, definitely not literally, and just saying, you're gonna finish this beat. You're gonna finish this beat. don't get out of the chair until you finish that damn beat.
Exactly.
And also a figurative chair, because some people have standing desks or, you know, whatever. Someone had a question. Okay, what's your strategy for getting people to opt into your email list?
Okay, so I'm running an ad through Facebook, and I've been collecting people's emails. I mean, I've really just been giving free beats, but let me tell you a tip. Okay, you don't have to just get people to get on your email list through free beats. I know I brought up to you that I was really, really running Facebook ads heavy, and I was selling beat packs. I know y'all have talked about this before, you know, the ClickFunnels thing. I use ClickFunnels as well. And I had a beat pack that pretty much went viral. And that was a great way because those are paid customers. Those are people that paid you and will probably pay for something again. So if you want to offer a product to people that you feel like would be valuable for artists, and that's again what I like to say is a lot of producers tend to care about what other producers think about decisions that they're doing for their business, but your target audience for most of the people on here are artists, and you got to think like an artist. What would an artist like? And that's just real. Artists, for me, even to this day, they like beat packs. Why? Because you got, you know, a certain amount of beats. You're paying typically less than what you would pay individually for a beat, and it's all in one place. And it's just convenient because artists want to make music and they also have other things to spend on. You know, it's not life or death to buy beats. It's just, for most of the artists, a hobby, or, you know, they're working up to make it a full-time career. So I did a beat pack, and it went viral. One of the videos I had like over 1 million views on Facebook. I feel like everybody saw that video. A lot of people saw that video. And I did that, and that helped me build an awesome email list of paying customers. So I didn't have to necessarily do free beats to do that. So I would say for my producers out there, you can always get someone to like an offer that you have. How many beats? Okay, it's gonna sound crazy. I know y'all gonna be like, what? Why would you do that? I put a 62 beat pack together, and I'll tell you why. One, that beat pack, not as a bragging, right? I definitely learned a lot of lessons. That beat pack did 6 figures. 6. Not 1, 2, 3, you know, 6 figures. Now, with that, as a disclaimer, I learned a lot of things about money management, because it did take a lot of money to get to that point, because one, my ignorance on certain things regarding how to manage my budget. I did get a little wild once money started flowing in. I was like, okay, that means we just got to start spending more. That does not mean that. Also, learning to manage my money. I'd never seen that kind of money before, so I started buying VSTs that I didn't have before. I was like, yeah, we about to get all the bundles, you know, contact complete, you know. So I definitely learned a lot in that experience. So I would say to my producers, money not 69, bruh. You know, I should have sold the OnlyFans pack, but I decided against it. So you know, I definitely would say money management for all my producers. Learn about that. Like, financial literacy is so important. You already know. Financial literacy is so important because that was something that I definitely missed out on when I did that much for that beat pack, because I didn't keep a lot of that money because I spent a lot of money on things that I probably didn't necessarily need, but it made me happy at the time. I was getting gifts for people. I was like, yeah, you get a gift, and sorry to my parents for not getting you a gift for years. I got the money now, you know. So there were definitely certain things that I did with that money that I would say it can work. If you do a beat pack, you don't have to. You can find something else. That's just what it worked for me. I don't really do beat. I'm not heavy on the beat packs. Now I'm really focusing on my website, and I do beat packs from time to time, but it's more so just for my email list. So that's just my experience. I hope I didn't get off topic. I just kind of went on.
No, that was great. I mean, we're
Yeah.
laughing, but the financial literacy element is amazing.
So
And at very least, a lot of it sounded like you just kind of nerded out on buying producer related stuff. So at very least, that stuff is a write off. on your
Yes, it is.
taxes. So
Thank
you'll
goodness.
get some of that back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a good segue because W says
Yo, thank
you
you,
are
man.
his type of human. Now,
Appreciate you.
let me compare that to a video that you recently posted, in which you basically said a lot of producers are failing because they're unlikable as people.
Yeah.
What experiences led you to come to that conclusion?
Just talking to artists. I mean, artists would tell you about other producers. I mean, I feel like it's like a little group chat amongst, other artists. But I mean, I've had artists say, yeah, like producers don't email me back or they don't share my music. And, some things you got to take with a grain of salt. I mean, if your song is trash, there might be a reason why they didn't share it. Maybe they just didn't like it. But I do think that communication is important. And also, artists, especially whether you think you're slick or not, they know when you just want them for money. So when I used to do this myself, so I'm calling myself out. I used to hit up artists and message them and be like, "Hey, I like your song such and such, whatever." And then I knew that in my mind, I was trying to get them to buy something, right? And so I focused more for me, like we've been talking about, is building value for my brand and putting content out that gives value, and people are going to naturally be attracted to you. And I don't mean like you look good, it's not Tinder. I mean, if that works out for you, that's great, but more so be attracted to who you are as a person. And I know there's some people who don't like to show their face, and I think that's okay if you don't want to, but find content that you can create that still would give value to people. You don't have to necessarily show your face. I know people say, oh, you got to show your face in order to be big, and I think that can work for some people and not work for others. But I've seen pages that give tons of value, that are doing super well, that I've never seen their face before, but people are still getting value from it. So find what's going to work for you, and be communicative with your audience, and customers. Get back to people. And a simple share is so important to a lot of these artists. If you do like their song, share it. It doesn't take you that much to put it on your story or tag or be like, hey, thanks for such and such for buying a beat for me today or for using my beat. Like, it goes a long way. Because a bad review of your business or of you is going to spread a lot further, more times than not, than a positive one. It's just kind of how the world, it kind of works. So, I would say to manage that, just be communicative with artists and treat them as people, because I think a lot of producers struggle with that. And stop talking about artists so much. I don't know why. I know I like almost hopped into the screen, but I see a lot of people that post so much negative stuff in regards to artists. Like, it's okay for us to share our experiences because we really be going through some stuff. So you got to call it out. But like making your whole personality talking about how artists don't pay for beats, like artists aren't paying for your beats, and you got to find out why that is. Or like find out why artists are not wanting to pay for your beats instead of making it it's an artist thing. It could be a you thing, and that is very hard to do, to take accountability for why your business or why your certain strategies are not working, because no one really wants to call themselves out. It's easier to blame other people for our failures than ourselves. So that's that.
So let's talk about looking good. You put your entire relationship up online, and I'm watching you do this. And, oh, you're rolling your eyes. This is going to be a good one. I'm watching you do this, and I'm thinking, oh, man, I would be scared to death.
Oh, trust me, yeah.
I mean, you didn't put every detail, obviously, but you meeting your girlfriend for the first time, and a whole lot of content that features her is available or was available. I don't know if you deleted it. Man,
we're still together.
If you don't want to talk about this.
No, we can. Okay, I just laughing. We're still together. I'm just laughing because I had a lot of content out there.
I mean, a lot. And a lot of producers don't even like posting clips of themselves speaking. That gives them a lot of anxiety. Right. What made you go that extreme and include your personal life as a part of your content strategy? Honestly, I think it worked out for you. I think it attracted a lot of people to you because it was very human. But that was a big number one. Who is this woman that she would allow you to document the very first meeting? You know what I mean? Because you like flew her out or something. Was it kind of
Yeah,
made you look super cool? But
yeah, you know me. I know. So that was honestly really scary for me. I typically have been pretty private in regards to my personal life. So that was actually a big thing for me. More so because she didn't understand why I wanted to be so private. In regards to like my branding and stuff like that. So that was really a leap of faith for me. I was like, well, you know, if this don't work out, I guess this will just be a learning lesson. And thankfully it has, you know, we've been together for 2 years now. But I did realize that it there was that human factor of people feeling like they knew me more. And that was very interesting to see because I honestly wasn't sure how that was going to be received. But yeah, I mean, at first it really came from her just wanting to be seen. So I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm not trying to show you like I got some kind of secret life or anything like that. So once I started getting comfortable, I just posted more content. Now that we've been together longer, there's less of that wanting to like have to be featured on posts and stuff once she also got more comfortable in our relationship. So I've been able to kind of dial back on that because that's just not really me naturally. I don't like to share my personal life in general, no matter who it is. Because I like to keep things like this is my brand, this is my personal life. So but it did help. I mean, it did help people feel connected and you know I think you can find a balance of that, but it's really up to you. I Yeah, I would say it's not necessarily something you have to do. It just really depends on what works for you and what you feel comfortable with sharing.
well, I think it's interesting that you're saying that you are private by nature,
Yeah,
because you have embraced and marketed your identity in a lot of ways, and I do want to ask, how important is representation and visibility for you as a trans person and as a wheelchair user?
well, so for me, you know, and this is the first time I've talked about this, so I've been nervous about this since we talked about it, you know, in the DMs. But I feel like in regards to representation is important, especially for the hip hop community. I think that's what's kind of pushed me back from speaking on, especially the trans aspect, because you know, we're not there yet. I definitely, I was running through my mind this whole like conversation and how it was gonna go, and if we were gonna have like a bunch of trolls or like people say wild stuff, and you know, I also kind of came to this conclusion of not being ashamed. I mean, people are going to talk about you no matter what, you know, and, you know, for me, representation is important because I do think that for trans people in general, they are an underrepresented group, and especially in the music industry. I mean, I kind of sometimes feel like I'm the first one right now, you know, and I know I'm not, but I do feel like, oh man, I'm the guinea pig for all this, but I know that's definitely not true. But I think as much as I preach about authenticity and being genuine, although I am very much private on that topic, just because it's a lot of times a safety thing for the fact that just the people that I kind of deal with, I know certain topics that they're just not exactly 100% with, and so sometimes I don't speak on it like I probably would. It's more of that feeling of acceptance. And as a wheelchair user, I mean that's very apparent. I mean I'm in a wheelchair. I mean I can't run away from that one, literally and figuratively. But you know being in a wheelchair is also important because disability is something that I feel like isn't discussed as much in the music industry. I mean, I had a situation where I was going to a recording studio and there was no ramp. Someone had to carry me inside the studio, and that was very demeaning because for me, I take what I do very seriously. So I don't like the first impression to see me. I'm already short as it is. Seeing me be carried into some studio, you know, is definitely not a good first impression. But overall, the parts that make me me, I think another reason why I haven't talked about certain topics in depth is because I want people to pay attention to what I actually do, which, you know, is music and being a creator and things like that. And as I said before, I think because as a society we're still evolving on certain things. I do feel that like if I just made this video, with the sad music in the background, like, hey guys, I have something to tell you, I think that it would take away from what I do. And I think that's just because we haven't normalized certain things. And I just think it's funny sometimes because like for me, going from being seen as a being seen as a male producer has been such a 180. Like, I mean, and for me, because I've always kind of had a certain look about me, I wasn't necessarily seen as the opposite gender per se. But because of just how I look, like how I dressed, since I started posting content. But there is definitely a difference because for the people that did see me as one way and versus seeing me now, it's a difference. I mean, I men have. I know you've had producers that identify as women and are cis women on here, and the experiences that I'm sure they've been able to tell you about are real, and that's probably just small stuff. I mean, a lot of experiences being taken seriously when you are perceived as a woman versus seeing as a man is super different. I mean, and it's just been interesting to see. And although I am stealth and what I mean by stealth is like I don't talk about being trans like on a other than right now, although I don't talk about it in depth, I still use my privilege of being seen as male to talk about certain topics. Know being a man or taken more seriously than a lot of times it is as a woman. So that's how I guess I feel like I'm Superman kind of sometimes with like I got my undercover identity or whatever, like I got this. So I do use my privilege in that way because I having male privilege is a thing, and I um have used it. I try to use it to my advantage as much as possible when I do interviews and talking about certain topics like mental health and other things that aren't, I feel like, talked as much by cis men comfortably. And I use that because I do know what that is like. I do know what that other side of life is like. So I try to use that to my advantage. And honestly, I just want to say, Payne, I have a huge weight off my chest because I was mad nervous about talking about that topic in general. But I just think it's important for someone out there to see someone like me just still killing it, no matter who you are. And just not to be ashamed, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, thank you for being willing to speak on it, and this conversation about having experienced the different level of respect given to you in the producer community based on what gender you identify as is something that I didn't even think about.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like I've had Neon Vines on, for example, and I don't know if you're familiar with her music, but I look at her branding and I look at her level of musicality and her performance, and I think I could never in a million years do that. Maybe I could. I'd have to work really hard. Right. I mean, the stuff that she does is amazing, and I'm still reading comments saying stuff like, she's average. If she didn't have breasts, she wouldn't be shit. And it's just like,
right.
And then who's talking? It's like someone who definitely can't play as well as her, but it's just damn, like wow, that's crazy. Thanks for sharing that. That's now an entirely new topic. And I think this starts a new dialogue. So thank you. I know we're running out of time. I had more questions. We're gonna have to do a follow-up. I guess everybody absolutely loves you, and as a result, they are giving me credit for the interview, which I thank them for humbly, and kind of feel like maybe I don't deserve it. But hey, if it works, it works. I'll take it, and we'll schedule a follow-up maybe at the end of the year or something like that. And
For sure, yeah, I love that.
Oh, okay. And then someone also, damn, where like, let me find it. Are you starting a Twitch channel or any kind of channel?
Yeah, I have a Twitch channel. I do have a Twitch. It's just MiniProducer. And y'all can check it out. I guess now I really need to get on there and start streaming because I had a whole schedule and I kind of fell off. But I do have Twitch, so I have where I give tips and stuff, and then I also have where I just cook. And so that's at 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Wednesdays and Fridays, and that's Eastern Standard Time. So I will be back on Twitch now that I definitely will have an audience for it. So make sure y'all check out MiniProducer on Twitch. I'm there.
Okay, and then how else do people connect with you? What I know you're active on Instagram and
yeah,
Facebook.
hit me up on Instagram, MiniProducer. You can send me a message. You can hit me up. You know, I try to get back to people as quickly as possible. And yeah, that's where you can check me out. I got my website, miniproducer.com, and I'm obviously on BeatStars, so check me out, MiniProducer, if you want to check out my beats and stuff like that. And I just want to say thank you so much. Like, this interview means a lot to me, especially because I've looked up to you for so long. Like, I told you, I think I tweeted to you, I downloaded like one of the kits that you had back in like 2014 or whatever year that was. And it's cool to be interviewed by people that you've looked up to, you know. So this is one of those cool moments for me, for sure. So I appreciate you giving me this platform.
I appreciate you, and what's going to be a cool moment for me is now that I know you make 5 to 10 beats a day, and I know your email address, I'm just going to start sending you
please
samples and melodies.
Please do.
I'm not going to send 5 to 10 a day. I'm going to tell you that right now, but I'll
that's
get
cool.
some your way.
And I do have placement opportunities, like real ones. I'm not just saying it like, oh yeah, I got placement, you know. But I do have opportunities all the time. So I'd love to provide that value as well and get some stuff hopefully placed between the both of us.